everybody, and welcome to the TBR 10 first vlog of the year. Hello 2021. Hope it is a better year than 2020. So I'm here to do my update for you guys and have a couple of chonkers that I'm starting the year out with. So I am still only 2 chapters into this. I had to start Elantris, so I've kind of put this one on hold for a minute just to get my read-along started. I need to get 3 chapters into that, and then once I'm done with that, I can pick this back up again. But I have also been reading The Blood Mirror. As you guys know, I love Brent Weeks. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and it's starting out really good. Everything is kind of in shambles right now, and I'm enjoying the world, being back in it. And then, of course, Elantris. So I've started Elantris. I was not prepared for how dark Sanderson was going to get with Elantris, because I read some of his other works, and I never found them to be quite dark. However, Elantris starts off on a fairly bleak and grimdark kind of a note, and I am enjoying it thoroughly. I'm about 2.5 chapters in, so I'm almost to the 3 chapter mark. So far, I'm really enjoying the characters, and I'm really enjoying the world. It is quite fun, and I'm sorry if you can hear my son yelling in the background. He's playing Fortnite. What other updates to give you guys? We have got a heck of a chonker list of fantasy novels coming up, and I'm really excited for that. You all know that that is my second favorite genre, but it's the one I lean into the most. Mainly because horror novels, they're so few and far between nowadays, and the authors that I'm drawn to are few and far between these days, but it's still my favorite genre. I still have some horrors on my list to read. So, and once I get further into these stories, I will give you more of an update. Again, I'm only about 2 or 3 chapters into all 3 of them. I am enjoying all of them, so I really hope that 2021 starts out with a bang with these novels. All right, guys, I am back with another update for you. I have been reading Elantris and The Blood Mirror and putting off Conqueror's Moon. You can see The Blood Mirror is right back there. I'm listening to it. Ugh. Okay, so Elantris. I am really enjoying Elantris a lot more than I thought I would. However, I want to say that this is the most info dumpy Sanderson I've ever read, but it was his first book. So I'm kind of allowing some leeway in my thought process there. But when he starts writing in Elantris, it is so good. When he is writing outside of Elantris, it's very info dumpy. There are so many characters and places to try and remember, and it is a trudge when those moments happen. But on that note, I'm about 1/3 of the way through it. I'm really enjoying it. I really like Serene. She is just my type of female character that I like to encounter in books. And like, there's a few other characters that I really enjoy, but her definitely. And I'm really liking the progression of the story. There's a lot of questions still at this point, and I'm really enjoying a story like about the undead from Sanderson. That's a little interesting, a little strange, but I am enjoying that aspect of it too. And then I'm reading The Blood Mirror, like I said, Brent Weeks. I'm about a quarter of the way through that, and I was listening to it and I was cracking up so hard that I had my whole family laughing with me and they had no idea what was going on. But I really enjoy Weeks' humor. I really enjoy his characterization. He writes about an 18-year-old-ish boy, and I really think that he can fit that headspace of the 18-year-old boy really well. So I don't know what that says about Weeks, but I think that that is really well done. I'm really enjoying the political maneuvering that is still occurring. However, not much has happened yet. So I'm really looking forward to figuring out where this all goes, and I'm really hoping that what people have said about the conclusion of the Lightbringer series is not true, like that I will still enjoy it. But on that note, I have not progressed anymore in Conqueror's Moon. It's not that I don't enjoy that story, I'm just enjoying the other two more, and it's hard for me to pick up Conqueror's Moon when I have a Sanderson and a Weeks that I'm reading too. So hopefully I will get through The Blood Mirror and Elantris here in the next couple of days, and then I can move on. I am still doing my Pop Sugar Challenge for 2021. I need to get that video uploaded, and it might be uploaded by the time you see this because these are week-long vlogs, and I started on the 1st, so it's the 2nd. And I need to get the Pop Sugar Challenge up, but I will probably try to fit in my Pop Sugar along with my TBR 10. I've already started Elantris, so the Sanderson read-along will continue in February after Elantris with the Mistborn trilogy. But for now, it's just one book. And each month, it's just one book. So we'll be reading The Final Empire in February. But yeah, that is my update for you guys. See you in the next one. I wanted to hop on here and give you guys an update. I have been very sick, and so I was not able to vlog much of me reading The Blood Mirror. I finished it. Guys, I am so sad to say that everybody was right. You know how much I love the Lightbringer series, the first 3. The fourth one, huge disappointment, and I'll talk about it in the wrap up. But when you negate the last 3 books that you wrote with one simple plot line, you kind of ruin the series. Like, I don't understand. I've read a couple of books where this has happened, and I hate to say that Weeks does it, but he does. And I'm sorry if I'm shaking. I'm trying to hold the phone and I'm pretty weak. However, Elantris is so good. So good. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I love the characters. Serene is amazing. Like, I'm really enjoying this setting. I'm really enjoying the world building that's going on here, the magic that's going on. there are characters to love and characters to hate in this, and so far our antagonist is kind of an unknown factor here, and we're dealing with a very morally gray character, and I'm enjoying that. And I'm about almost at the 70% mark with Elantris, but I have a feeling this is going to be really highly rated for me. As far as Conqueror's Moon goes, guys, I think I'm going to set it aside for now. I might revisit it later. It's just with the pull of the books that I have on my TBR this month, I can't find a way to fit in Conqueror's Moon for this month. So I might pick it up again in February, depending on what my TBR looks like. I am tackling a lot of fantasy novels this month, so it's going to get set aside for now. It's not a permanent DNF. It's just there are other books that I would rather be reading. And, you know, Elantris, The Blood Mirror, that didn't work out, but, you know, Valor's coming up, so that's my update for now. Hi guys, so I've extended this vlog for a couple of days because I want to be able to post my TBR 10 videos on the weekend, and I've had some things happen. So as you guys know, I'm still kind of sick, and yesterday my puppy dog died, and I am struggling to want to read, and I did end up finishing Elantris, but I'm having a hard time picking up something else. And so I'm giving myself a few more days to start other books. And when my puppy dog died, I hurt my back. So it has been a very rough few days for me, and I mean, it is what it is. He's not suffering anymore, so that's a good thing. He was sick for a little bit. So I decided I was going to try and pick up a fun book to read to try and alleviate some of my heart sickness, and I picked up A Song Below Water, which is on my Pop Sugar reading challenge for magical realism. I DNF'd it. It might be a book that I go back and read someday, but it is marketed completely incorrectly, and magical realism, no. And I don't want to go into too much of my thoughts on the book because I'm really frustrated right now. But it's marketed as a magical realism book about sirens, and that's not what it is. So I DNF'd that. So to replace it in my magical realism for the Pop Sugar challenge, I'm going to put in Alice Hoffman's Magic Lessons, and I'm going to start The Book Thief, which could be a good cry for me. I might need that right now, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm going to start The Forest Queen by Betsy Cornwell because I need something a little bit fun. So we're going to venture between trying to make myself cry and a fun book, or a book that I'm hoping is fun, you know, female Robin Hood. So those will be the books that I'm tackling now, and I hope to be finished with by the end of the week. Bye. I am here to give you guys another update. I hate to say this, guys, but this is not the bang that I wish to start 2021 out on. Because I am DNFing another book. You guys can probably tell that I'm in the same spot that I was in the last time, wearing the same clothes. My hair is all a mess. I really did hurt my back, y'all. I have a bulging disc, so while it has allowed for some good reading time, I haven't been enjoying the books that I've been reading, which sucks. That's not true. There are a couple that I have really enjoyed so far. I finished The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek, I believe. I'll put an image of the book. And it is really, really good. I've had this arc since November, and I've been trying to read it. It's really hard for me to read ebooks, so I really give myself a lot of leeway with them. Don't look at my NetGalley shelf, because we won't talk about that. However, the book that I am DNFing, The Book Thief. I've said this a couple times very recently on this channel, that I am a very plot-driven reader. There is no plot. I've had this problem with Joe Abercrombie. There are very well-loved authors that I have a hard time getting into because of their character-driven work. And I do like character-driven stories, but they have to have a plot too. I need to have all of it, the whole package. So I actually got further than what it's showing there, but I got about 30% into this before I DNF'd it. It was going absolutely nowhere, and I couldn't handle it. Now for the other book that was in my TBR 10 that I decided to go ahead and pick up, The Forest Queen. I am enjoying this. It so far is really good, a little unexpected. The twists that it takes on the Robin Hood story so far have been really good. And I'm about 20% into this as well, and I am enjoying this one. Do I see this being a 5-star read? No, but I am having fun, and that is pretty much at this point all that matters, because I've got 2 of my chunker fantasies out of the way, I've got a NetGalley out of the way, and I've DNF'd a couple books and removed them from my TBR. So at this point, I just need something fun to get me through to the next stage. See you later. All right, here we are for the weekly wrap-up of my TBR 10 overall weekly wrap-up for the first week of January. It has been a rough week, y'all. So I am going to try and get through this video without having to pause and take breaks, because as you guys heard, I hurt my back, and it's hurt pretty bad. Right now, I'm just a little sore, so I'm really hoping that I can get through the video, no problems. Since this is my TBR 10 video, let's go ahead and talk about the 2 books from my TBR 10 that I tackled this week. The first book of my TBR 10 would be The Blood Mirror by Brent Weeks. Okay, so I have said in the past that the Lightbringer series is my second favorite series of all time. I'm gonna stand by that though until I finish this series and see how the 5th book turns out. This book, however, The Blood Mirror, I'm not gonna hold it up this whole time because it is hurting my back. So let's talk about this. I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but with the Lightbringer series, there are a handful of characters that we follow. Gavin Guile, Kip, Karis, Tia. There's a handful of characters that we follow that we either end up loving, hating, having neutral feelings on, and like Andros Guile. The list of characters could go on and on, so I'm not going to keep naming characters. But I loved this book until there was a part in this book where the entire first 3 books were negated. There's the one plot line that destroys the entirety of one person's journey that negates the first 3 books. What? Okay. I'm baffled by this decision. From a writer's perspective, this was a bold move. From a reader's perspective, what the hell were you thinking? No! I am just so frustrated with it. Like, I don't even know what else to say that could be spoiler-free about that. However, there are some very good elements left to this book. And Kip's story is trudging along. But my other issue with this book was nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. And so I feel like this was a cash grab novel. I feel like this could have been a quartet and been completely fine and solid, and we could have forgotten this whole twist that Weeks put into the Blood Mirror and didn't negate the first 3 books in the series. I'm just mind blown that this was the path that Weeks took with book 4 of the Lightbringer series. So epically disappointed. I am going to continue to the Burning White. I do want to know how this story wraps up. I still have faith in Weeks to bring it back around, and it's right there, so I'm gonna read it. But my level of excitement for the next novel is not high, and I did say that Malice had a chance of knocking the Lightbringer down a peg. Weeks might have done that himself with this plot twist in book 4. So the rating for The Blood Mirror on Goodreads was a 4.34. Did I agree with that rating? No! I gave this book a 3. To the next book that was on my TBR 10, I decided I was going to read The Book Thief. I DNF'd it. So the reason that I DNF'd The Book Thief, it's not my style. In the near future, I'm going to be doing a series of videos talking about plot-driven, character-driven, and setting-driven books, what that means, and how we as readers either fall into one of these three categories. Guys, I'm a plot-driven reader. I have to have a good moving plot. There is no plot in The Book Thief. I was finding Death's obsession with this little girl kind of adorable. I mean, it sounds creepier than it is, but like, it was adorable that he was following her around wanting to watch this intriguing little girl who stole books. And that's all the book is about. That's it. So I DNF'd it probably around 30-40% into the novel. I read quite a bit of it, but I need plot. I need something driving the story for me. And there's no plot. The writing itself is good. The writing style was interesting. And I really appreciate all of the things that Marcus Zusak did in this novel. But guys, it wasn't the book for me. It was not the book for me. And that's okay. That's okay. If it's your favorite novel, I can understand how a plot-driven reader and a character-driven reader read books differently. And that's fine. And if you want to argue that there is a plot, you're probably a character-driven reader. And again, totally fine. I just couldn't get interested in the story, even though I was finding some of the elements very, very good. So instead of giving it a star rating of like a 3 or a 2, I just DNF'd it and left it alone. Like, there's no need for me to go in and do that when I can appreciate most of the elements in this book. Okay, let's move on to my weekly wrap-up and talk about the other books that I read this week. The first of those would be a audiobook that I got from NetGalley, and that would be The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. This is supposed to be a Jane Eyre retelling, and let me be the first to admit to you, I have not read Jane Eyre. Okay, I have, but it was when I was like 13, 14. I don't remember it. And I read so many classic novels since then that they all kind of do that. And do I see the ties into Jane Eyre? I don't know. What I don't see is the tie-in to Gothic novels. I do not see the tie-in to Gothic literature at all. Gothic horror or Gothic thrillers, Gothic literature in general, one of the things that it relies heavily on is a creepy atmosphere. This book did not have that. Another thing that it relies on are questionable characterization. This does have that. Definitely has that. But many of the other Gothic elements that I am very keenly aware of, very knowledgeable on, were missing. So to label this a Gothic retelling is a little misleading, but I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a great, fun, fantastic thrill ride. And did I see the elements that were supposed to be thrilling coming? I kind of did. There were a couple that I was like, Are you sure about that? But in general, I did kind of see everything falling into place. And that could be that I have a background knowledge of Jane Eyre in my head and it stemmed from that, but I don't know. Our main character is highly unlikable, and I enjoyed reading from her perspective because I like morally gray characters, and again, that probably stems from my love of Gothic literature, but most of the characters in this book are highly unlikable. So if that is not something that you enjoy, if you need to find a hero figure, this is not the book for you. However, if you do like morally gray characters, if you like a slight lean into Gothic literature, if you like thrillers that are twisty, turny, and things are kind of left up in the air, give this one a shot. And the next one that I read would be The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. I loved it! So we've talked in the past before about if you give me a villain that I love, i.e. Loki, I'm going to love the book. So this book centers around the witch Angerboda. And while Angerboda does have a presence in Norse mythology, there aren't many books or stories at all that center around Norse women. And I really, really enjoyed that we got a Norse mythology tale that features a woman. So let's talk about tropes just a little bit, because there are a few tropes in here. However, I enjoyed the heck out of it. So we have Angerboda. If you know her story, you know that she is the one who refused to look into the future for Odin. And Odin tried to learn to do what she does, and she was like, nah, bro, nah. And he burned her. So she has the power of regeneration, resuscitation, can bring herself back to life pretty much. And she escapes. And I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but all of the Norse tales that you hear, that you love, that surround Loki and Thor, you know, all of these things that surround these main central characters in Norse mythology is present in this novel. And many stories she picks apart and puts back together in her own wonderful, brilliant way. And I just loved it. I did end up giving it a 4-star instead of a 5-star. And the only reason I gave it 4 stars instead of 5 is because the middle kind of, it's very domestic and very slow. I don't mind that so much because we are building on Boda's life and where her story ends up. So it's very much central to the plot, but those parts were really slow and really hard for me to read. As you guys know, all of my issues, we don't need to talk about that again, but it really brought down the level of the novel for me slightly. And the beginning was stronger than the ending, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I really enjoyed the whole book. It's just there were issues along the way, and that's fine. Okay, and if you watched the previous vlog part of this video, you will know I also DNF'd A Song Below Water. I'm going to try to not get emotional here, but I've had a very traumatic week, and when I picked this up, I was not anticipating being traumatized twice. So when I picked this up, I thought it was going to be a fun, cute book about magical realism and mermaids. Not the case. Do I think that this is a book that needs to be read? Absolutely. Absolutely, it needs to be read because it is about the struggle of Black women living in America. And while I do think I might go back to this novel, I'm not in a place to read that right now. My heart hurts too much already, and I can't invest that of myself right now. I do feel bad that I have DNF'd this book, but it is a temporary DNF. I will go back to it, but I'm also turned off by the fact that this book is promoted as magical realism and sirens or mermaids, however you want to look at that. And that's not what the book is. So I do feel like that they are tempting you with a marketing ploy and giving you something else. So I do have that issue as well. It is what it is. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have the book I read this month for the Brandon Sanderson read-along, and that would be Elantris. Whoa, guys. This novel was so good. So good. I have read enough Sanderson to know he really can't do any wrong. I'm not going to say that every Sanderson I read is a favorite, but this one was really unexpected and really, just great. So many elements of it were really fantastic to read. And reading a book about the undead from Sanderson, it was so unexpected, but so fulfilling for me because, I like stories about the undead. But what Sanderson does with the city of Elantris in this novel is brilliant. We all know Sanderson is brilliant anyway, but brilliant. I gave this book 4 stars, and I want to talk about it just a little bit. Like I said, loved Elantris. Loved it. However, when Sanderson starts writing in Arelon, which is the country in which Elantris sits in, it gets so info-dumpy and so convoluted in some places. And I'm not saying that it's weird, like weird convoluted. I'm saying so much information is given that you can't separate it. Like it's hard to sift through. And I've, again, read enough Sanderson to know that while info dumping is not a thing that is standardly done in his novels, Stormlight Archive can get that way. But this is not typical of his writing. And while it irritated me, and normally I would DNF like that, I do have faith in Sanderson, and I did promise to read this book, so I pushed through. And I was not disappointed in any way, shape, or form by this book. So the 4 stars comes from the info dumping. Now let's talk about characters. Serene. Oh my goodness. I loved Serene. She is the type of female character that I want to see in books. She is smart. She is tough. She's a dadgone princess. And yet, that doesn't stop her from fighting for what she believes in. It doesn't stop her from pushing towards her end goals. And I loved it. Loved it. Now let's talk about Raoden. So, for the Sanderson read-along. We are all on a Discord chatting about the books, and I got to the Elantris portion of Raoden's story, and I think I messaged something along the lines of, is anybody else getting these like massive hero vibes from Raoden? Because I think I kind of love him. And I swear to you, like half of the girls that were on were like, yeah. So if you need that hero in your novels, you have Raoden, and he is utterly fantastic. I adore Raoden. And Galadin, his friend that he makes in Elantris. Oh, yes, please. Like, yes. Those two. Also, if you need fun, exciting banter, Raoden and Galadin, they have you, boo. They have you. And then Hrathen. I don't want to spoil anything, but I mentioned that the antagonist of this story, Hrathen, at the beginning, you don't really know what he's up to. He keeps making choices that you're like, what, why did you do that? And you come to find out why he does the things he does, and that's all I can say without spoiling things. But I loved the way Sanderson wrote Hrathen, and amazing. I'm a Sanderson fan for life, guys. That's all there is to it. Now, if you get online and look up the Cosmere Wiki, Coppermind, whatever you want to call it, you can find the list of 1,000 names that Brandon Sanderson mentions in this book. Because there are so many. But those are the main characters that I just adored in this novel and really wanted more from. And like, I can see myself reading, like, is there Elantris 2? I think there will be. I think we've got information incoming that there will be. But the magic in this is also really fantastic. We all know that the Stormlight Archive has one of the best magic systems in existence. And, you know, Lightbringer, it also does. But, like, Sanderson's magic systems are fantastic. When you look at Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, and Elantris, and he's just kind of a master there. And you kind of just have to give him credit. But again, 4 stars. I loved it. That will be my weekly wrap-up for you guys. But coming up, what I am currently reading is The Forest Queen by Betsy Cornwell. I am enjoying this book. It is much darker than I expected, so I might have some trigger warnings for you guys when I do my review of this one. Just be on the lookout for it. And I am 30% into reading House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I'm enjoying it. So the first part, because these are broken up into parts, the part 1 is boring. But I was warned about that, and since hitting the second part of this book, it has hit the ground running. And I really enjoy the main character, Bryce. She is just a little hellion. And I really like where the story's going so far. I really like urban fantasy. So when I found out that Sarah J. Maas actually had an urban fantasy, that was what intrigued me to begin with. And then we all know, I watched a couple of videos where people were praising it, and I picked it up. Or it was given to me. Someone said, read this. So that is it for my TBR 10. See you guys in the next video. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things.